A string of terrorist attacks in Paris on Friday evening left at least 129 dead and hundreds more injured. Attacks took place at 6 locations across the city, mostly in restaurants and bars. Of the 6, by far the deadliest attack happened at the Bataclan Concert Hall, where 4 men wielding AK-47s opened fire on the crowd and took dozens of hostages before being killed in a police raid. ISIS is taking credit for the attacks as retaliation against French military actions in Syria. President François Hollande has declared a 3-day period of national mourning and called the attack an act of war to which the response will be ruthless. The Eiffel Tower has gone dark to mourn the victims and will stay closed until security is restored to the city. Johann Safar, a Charlie Hebdo cartoonist, responded to the attack with a series of cartoons declaring, "Paris is our capital. We love music, drunkenness, and joy. For centuries, lovers of death have tried to make us lose life's flavor. They never succeed." All good things must come to an end, and it seems that time has come for Final Fantasy XI. This week, the 14-year-old MMORPG received its final content update with Rhapsodies of Vana'diel, the final chapter in the Final Fantasy XI adventure. To celebrate its big finish, Square Enix has made the game free-to-play from now until November 24th, inviting old players to come back and check out their old stomping grounds. Though the game will continue to be accessible on PC for the foreseeable future, PS2 and Xbox 360 service will cease in March of 2016. Over in Nintendo news, the company held their first Nintendo Direct since the passing of President Satoru Iwata. Kicking off the Direct was the official announcement of an HD port for The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, which was previously hinted at in a data hack a few weeks ago. From looking at gameplay footage, based on Link's left-handedness, it seems that this will be a port of the GameCube version of the game and not the mirrored Wii version. To go with the game, Nintendo is also producing a new Wolf Link amiibo. It's not known how the game will interact with the amiibo, but it will be compatible with past Zelda franchise amiibo as well. The game and amiibo will be ready for the holiday season, specifically St. Patrick's Day. That's right, don't expect this to be a stocking stuffer because the game isn't due out until March 4th, 2016. And speaking of Zelda in 2016, no new details about the Wii U Zelda, but Nintendo did reiterate that the game is still due out next year. Also not arriving in time for Christmas, Star Fox Zero's delayed restate was also announced. The game will now be available on April 22nd, 2016. In the meantime, The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes will receive a free content update on December 2nd. The new update will add 2 new costumes and introduce a new challenge mode for the game. In Splatoon news, Nintendo announced 2 new maps for the ink-based shooter. Museum de Alfonso features 5 rotating obstacles to keep track of, while Mahi Mahi Resort is a water-heavy stage that gradually lowers the water levels throughout the course of the match, revealing more ground to cover over time. The update doesn't feature any new weapons, but it does include more than 40 new pieces of gear. Nintendo confirmed that they will continue to provide updates for the game until at least January of next year. For Super Mario Maker, there were no new announcements as the game just received a small update. However, Nintendo did announce the creation of a new website to give players greater options for tracking down stages. In Pokemon news, Nintendo officially announced a North American version of Pokken Tournament for Wii U for release next spring. The first production run of the game will come with an amiibo card that unlocks the sweet-looking Shadow Mewtwo. Also coming out next year, the original Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow will be hitting the eShop on February 27th for the 3DS. These games will be direct ports of the Game Boy originals with Game Link functionality replaced with the 3DS wireless connections. And speaking of game franchises with multiple versions, Fire Emblem Fates Birthright and Fire Emblem Fates Conquest will be released on February 19th. Each game features its own story that tells one side of the game's principal conflict. You can get a full story with just one game, but if you want to play both sides, purchasing one game will allow you to buy the other game at half price. A third game, Fire Emblem Fates Revelations, will be available sometime after launch to show a third point of view. A collector's edition featuring all 3 games along with a carrying case and art book will retail for $80. And if $80 isn't enough to spend on Fire Emblem, 7 DLC maps will be available down the road. Also on the 3DS, Mario & Luigi Paper Jam will combine 2 spin-off franchises into a new RPG. Available on January 22nd, Paper Mario will join with Mario & Luigi for a new adventure that adds card-based power-up mechanics to the game. And while Final Fantasy XI may be on its way out, Final Fantasy Explorers may be a good substitute. The 3DS game will let you team up with your friends to build a character for a Monster Hunter-like adventure. Released in Japan earlier this year, the North American version of the game will include all of the DLC already released when it hits shelves on January 26th. And finally on the 3DS, Hyrule Warriors Legends continues to add new content. Along with adding Tetra, Toon Link, King Daphnis, and Skull Kid, Nintendo announced that a new original character will be added to the game. Introducing Linkle, who appears to be a crossbow-wielding fan of the Hero of Time. The 3DS game will include codes to download the new characters for the Wii U version, however it's not yet known if Wii U owners that don't want the 3DS game will be able to buy the new characters separately. But Linkle wasn't the biggest surprise character announcement during the Nintendo Direct. In a move nobody saw coming, Final Fantasy VII's Cloud Strife will be the latest fighter to break into Super Smash Bros. The announcement was a big surprise because unlike other guest characters like Sonic the Hedgehog, Solid Snake, or Ryu, Cloud has never been prominently featured on a Nintendo console. And like other DLC fighters, it looks like Cloud will come with a new stage based on Midgar, with various Final Fantasy summons occasionally dropping in to shake things up. No details yet on when Cloud will be available, but those will probably come forward during the Smash Bros. Focus Direct next month. And since StarCraft II Legacy of the Void just came out, this week's awesome video is a normal-ass normal game from Lag TV. It's their first cast for the expansion, and it's a good one.
Mr. Maximus Black.
Yeah.
Hit me up with that old school noise. Down here in the bottom right position of some map that I don't know the name of, not that I'm ever going to learn it, we have Heijong. And up in the, we're just going to call him Handjob because that's HJ and I know it'll be easier for you to pronounce.
Yep.
And that's everything for this week, so will you miss Final Fantasy XI, and what was your favorite Nintendo announcement? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe, pass this video around to your friends, and have a great week!